Hey guys, Utah Steve. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome in the first place. We are here for another adventure in the Uinta Mountains, of course, as I promised. Today's backpacking trip, it's an overnighter and it will not be intense. If you saw my last overnighter at the Uinta Basin, you know that it took a real physical and kind of a mental toll on me. It wasn't like a super hard long journey that lasted days and days. It's just that I had anticipated a couple hour hike in, couple hour hike out, and a pretty uneventful experience. In that video, I left in the fact that I missed the turnoff to the Fehr Basin. I continued on all the way up to Fehr Lake, which was all uphill, a mile out of my way. Then I had to walk another mile back, of course, to find the sign taking me into the basin. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if it was because I was filming, because I had my head down at the trail. There were a lot of people that stopped and talked to me along the way, which is fine. I may have just not noticed the sign for any of those reasons. So I decided what I needed for this outing was something simple and basic where I could get to camp easily and uneventfully, for real this time, and just relax. Just have a nice, peaceful overnighter here in the Uinta Mountains. So what I decided on is Fehr Lake, F-E-H-R, not F-A-I-R, F-A-R-E, or W-X-R-P. Fehr Lake is right off the Mirror Lake Highway, and it is only about a half mile in to the lake. Further up over a little ridge, there are several other lakes. There's Shepard Lake and Fehr Lake and a couple other ones I can't remember. We may explore up that way, I don't know. This outing is going to be a pretty basic outing. It's going to be set up camp, have a nice dinner, maybe have a fire. I don't know. Fire danger is high right now. It just depends on the bug situation. That's really the only reason I can think to build a fire. Mosquitoes are pretty bad this time of year, and the smoke helps get rid of them. So I brought my fishing pole, my fishing gear. I don't know if you can fish in Fehr Lake, but up over the ridge, I know there's fishing in the other lakes, and it doesn't look like it's that far away. None of this is going to be a strenuous hike from what I've read and understood before coming here when I planned this trip. It looks like it's a very simple hike in and hike out. And that's all I wanted. I want to rest and relax. I spent this whole week celebrating my youngest son's birthday. He turned 10. We went camping last weekend, car camping and fishing at Butterfly Lake. We had a great time together. We slept under the stars without the, we slept in the net part of the tent without the rain fly on. And it was fantastic. We had a great time. We caught 17, 18 fish, took home 8, and had us a nice fish dinner when we got home. Anyway, if I do catch something up here, just catching one. And cooking it. Then I will need a fire now that I think about it, because I don't have another means to cook a fish. Anyway, let's get the pack on. We have a different tent this time. Once again, we have my same Osprey pack from last time. We'll go into gear stuff once we get to camp and set up. Right now, I'm in the parking lot and I don't know where the trail actually begins. So I'm gonna walk around here for a second and figure out where the trail begins, and then we'll get our pack on and get on the trail. When I first got out of the car, my inclination was to go to the downhill to the bottom of the parking lot. But all that's down there is a picnic table and a fire ring, which you're not supposed to camp here in the parking lot overnight. There are signs posted. People don't listen. It's not too crowded. On this side, there's plenty of parking. On that side, it seems to be where everyone else parked. I think A lot of these are fishermen, day hikers, that kind of thing. So the trail actually begins at the top of the parking lot, right over here. So here we have the Fehr Lake Trail. That is a nice sign. That is the newest sign I've seen up here. Fehr Lake's 1/2 mile, Shepard Lake 1 mile, and Hoover Lake 1.5 miles. So we have options. Here's what it begins like. What it begins like, is that a thing? It's very beautiful, forested, as you can see. Behind me, that's Bald Mountain. So this will be good. This will be nice to actually get up here into the mountains and relax. I brought my hammock and my bug net for the hammock, so we can genuinely enjoy ourselves while we're up here. Look at all the flowers, the wildflowers. Lots of them. It's beautiful. One thing I love about the Uintas, just back there is the highway. You can hear it, you can see it. But it doesn't take much of a walk to find seclusion. Not to be confused with isolation. Isolation tends to be more of a negative word. We won't be listening to that traffic for too long. As usual, I'm at 10,000 feet. I'll put the elevation of Fehr Lake up here on the screen. But 10,000 feet, I start gasping for air. As I've said before, I live at 4,000 feet. So, bear with me as I huff and puff. Very thick trees. It just goes down into this big bowl, like a big basin down in here. Over here we have Hayden Peak. I point this out in several videos. It's kind of my, I don't know, landmark that I use to navigate myself around here. If I know where Hayden Peak is from this side of it, then I know where the highway is, because between Bald Mountain and Hayden Peak is the main highway. There's a bit of a breeze. I meant to get a microphone filter for this camera before I came on this trip, but I forgot again. I keep forgetting, so even the smallest breeze sounds like a hurricane sometimes on this camera, which is good. It means it has a sensitive microphone, but it's not very helpful when I'm trying to say something. I'll remember one of these days. Trail is pretty rocky right here. We got some downhill. All of it has been downhill except for a little section, which means it's uphill on the way out, but it's not that far away to the car, you know. Very rocky. Gotta watch your steps, they don't twist your ankle. Look at that beautiful meadow, just like that. And it's quiet, sort of. About 3 years ago, I went on a backpacking trip with my buddy Joe to Hayden Lake, and I needed to be at work way down where I live, which is 2 hours away, by 7:30 that night. We didn't leave camp until 4 p.m. and in order to make it back to the car in time, get all the way home, shower, and get to work, I practically had to run down the trail. I was carrying a lot more gear, and all that weight on my back and the pressure on my knee, I felt a pop in my left kneecap. Turns out I broke my kneecap. And when I went to the doctor, found out it was irreparable. They couldn't do surgery, they couldn't put a cast on it, so I still have a split in my kneecap on the outer edge of it. So I have to be careful on these really rocky trails, because one wrong step could really mess things up for me. And I'm by myself, as usual. As most of the time I am, I should say, not always. So, there's a story about nothing that I've already told before. My friends, we've already reached Fehr Lake. That was easy, huh? What we're gonna do, we're gonna hike around it. And we'll either camp right on the shores, which is very possible, or hike further on the other side between the lakes. It's over that little ridge right there on the other side of the lake where the other lakes are, and camp somewhere in there. I'm not sure. Just depends on what I see and how I feel about it. How's that for a view? It's beautiful. What I'm looking for right now is whether or not there are any ripples in the water that show signs of fish. This is the one lake I wasn't sure if it actually had fish in it or not. If it doesn't, we're definitely camping up in there. All I need is to see one or two. Some of these lakes, there are literally over 1,000 lakes up here. And some of them are just ponds. They're meadows in the summertime, and they fill with melted snow for a while, and then it all seeps into the ground. Some aren't very deep at all. This one actually doesn't look all that deep. So some of them they stock, and some of them they don't. I don't know all of the ones with fish in them. And as I hike around, I'm going to keep an eye on this water and see if anything happens. Well, we've reached the other side, and I have seen no sign of any fish or any person standing around here fishing. There have been a few hikers coming out with their fishing poles, and I don't think any of them came from here. Now, I could be wrong. You know what? As I'm speaking, I see fish. Way out there in the middle, I see fish coming to the surface. But I'm still not 100% on camping right here. There's a campsite right back up in there. But I don't want to be that close to the trail or people. Not just because of the pandemic, the current situation in the world. Because, if you know me at all, I like to be off away from people. I don't want to be up close and personal. If I wanted to do that, I would stay home. Hey, there's a trail going off this way. That may lead to a campsite. Here's our main trail this way. What I'll do is I'll keep this in mind, and we're just going to keep following the trail. It's only another half mile to the next lake. We'll see what we got over there. Those wildflowers are just everywhere. One thing I really appreciate about this trail with my knee the way it is are these long wooden sidewalks, or whatever you want to call them, pathways. I guess it's not a sidewalk if it's not next to a road, but they are really nice to walk on. Sometimes you encounter a little strip of these here and there, and I realize that this is probably to preserve the meadow from getting trampled, and does double duty of letting you walk through here and appreciate what's out there at the same time. I've never seen one this long, I have to admit. Usually they're just little short walkways. I'm really impressed. I just came all the way across that meadow, up that bend, all the way up here. This must have been some project. This is the longest wooden walkway I know of up here. If anybody knows of any longer ones, feel free to comment down below. I'd be interested to know where they are. This is pretty crazy. I stand corrected on one thing, my knee story. Now that I'm back on this, it's my right knee. I said it was my left knee. I can feel the exact spot right now. It's not going to slow me down though, it's not going to stop me. It might slow me down. Not going to stop me. Feeling that thin air. Getting winded on a flat trail. It's definitely the air. Very thick foliage. We should be coming up on the next lake, which I believe is Shepard Lake. Looks like the trail goes right up through there, and I'm guessing it's right over this little ridge right here. It just looks like it opens up. Okay, we just came down over that ridge, and it did not open up into a lake, but we are getting close because I can see something down there. We're going to continue down this hill, and through the trees down there with my naked eye, I can see something. So it's coming up. Well, I just checked the old GPS. We are about halfway between Fehr Lake and Shepard Lake. So we're halfway to Shepard, and it just keeps going downhill. So the easy part of the hike is just to Fehr Lake. But I really think Shepard Lake is my destination. Feels right. Sometimes I get to a place that I plan to go ahead of time, and I just have to get a feel for things. I don't always go exactly where I say I'm going to go, so I tell my son at home, I have an adult son that still lives at home, Murphy. I tell him where I'm going, and I give him the general area. So if I say I'm going to be in this area, he knows I may not be exactly where I say I'm going. I always tell somebody where I'm going because I do this alone so much. The good thing is, this is a pretty well-traveled trail. If something did happen, it wouldn't be hard to find somebody to get help. Unlike my last outing into the Uinta Basin, that was back there, and I only saw 2 or 3 people in the basin itself, and I only saw them briefly. So I was pretty alone up there. This trail is brutal. Forgive my shadow. The sun is right behind me. I'm walking east. A little butterfly. But this is very rocky. It's almost like hiking down a creek bed. Look at this tree. It ends right there. It's all hollowed out. I get very distracted. You have to bear with me. I'm like the dog in Up. Squirrel! And literally it could be a squirrel that distracts me. Anyway, let's get down to the other lake and find a place to set up. I do not want this turning into a huge ordeal, like I said. Past a couple of different, about 3 different groups of hikers going out. Here's another long sidewalk, by the way. Love it. There was a couple that asked me about my channel, so I told them. I don't think people necessarily remember when I tell them. I wouldn't. When I got home, I wouldn't think about, remember that guy on the trail? So I'm thinking about little business cards with my name, my YouTube name on it. Just when people ask, I can say, here you go. And then when they get home and they've forgotten all about it, they reach in their pocket or their stuff to unpack, and they come across it again. So there's a thought that's come to me a few times now, that I should do something like that. And then there was another group that just passed me, and one guy said, hey, there's some beautiful sights around the lake down there. Very, very encouraging. I'm excited. So Shepard Lake is going to be our stopping point. I think what I'm going to do next weekend when I have my boys with me is I'll take them to Fehr Lake. It's a really easy hike, and you know, I'm still teaching them the ins and outs of backpacking, so that when they grow up they have this to enjoy. My 2 older boys love camping, and one in particular loves backpacking. I think a lot of that is just the way they've been raised, you know. You can't live in my house and not have the mountains be part of your life. And even though I love the ocean, don't get me wrong, I've said it before, I really do love a good road trip. I love to travel. But this is where I feel like I'm at home, especially in the Uintas. So my youngest boys, getting back to what I was saying, squirrel, see what I mean? They're growing up with the love of the outdoors, and now they're old enough that they're carrying their own packs. And just a couple of years or so, maybe we'll be able to do some really epic adventures together. In the meantime, Fehr Lake is just right for them. This is what I mean by all of the ponds that are out here. They kind of take up chunks of the meadows. It's not a very big one, but there's a little pond right there. Perfect for frogs. Various wildlife to drink from. Probably pretty stagnant. I don't hear any water flowing. Sure is beautiful though. Speaking of water flowing, I brought my Sawyer Squeeze this time instead of the Katadyn Be-Free. Had a couple problems with that Katadyn clogging up on me. I could get water out of it, but it was really hard. And so to avoid risking my health and well-being out in the middle of nowhere, I've always had good luck with the Sawyer Squeeze. Not the mini, but the full-size Sawyer. So when I can find some running water, or at least a lake that's moving somewhat, I'm going to pull out the Sawyer and fill it up. I just don't want to be out here with something that's going to fail me. Plus the Katadyn is only good for so many uses. Not very many, and you have to replace the filter part. And wow, the Sawyer is good for this many uses. So very reliable, dependable product. I've tried SteriPen. I've tried the little tablets. I do have some of those in my emergency kit. I've tried the Sawyer. I've tried the Katadyn, 2 different kinds of Katadyn, the pump filter and the Be-Free. I've tried so many different ones, and I keep going back to the Sawyer, the regular Sawyer. So I think I'm finally just going to settle on that and keep it that way. The last time I had a Sawyer, I was camping in the winter and it froze, and once they freeze, they're useless. Okay, enough talk about water filtration. Aren't I an exciting guy? Here's another wooden sidewalk that goes on forever. Look at that. On and on and on, all the way up to those pine trees way up there. We're almost to the lake, I can tell, because, sorry about the shadow again, got the sun at my back. Here's another little pond, another meadow pond. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, guys, this is the trail. We are almost there. I just checked. This is a seriously deep rocky ditch right through there. Just ugly. This is, I'm not gonna lie, this is not gonna be fun to go back up tomorrow. After Fehr Lake and that meadow, after that meadow with the long walkway, it's just been all downhill and all rocky, except for a couple of walkways that I've shown you. It's all been like this. So, it hasn't been bad or anything, but, I mean, kids could hike this. It's just the difficulty of my knee and the rocks, and thinking about tomorrow, if all of this is downhill, my hike out of here is all up that. So yay. Oh my goodness. Okay, next time I turn this on, we're gonna be at Shepard Lake. We are this close. Well, guys, ask me if all those rocks were worth it, because right now I'm looking at this. Welcome to Shepard Lake. Isn't that beautiful? Now there is a sign over there where I came out. I came out over there, but there are a couple people standing right by it, so I'll show you that later. Right now there are people fishing here. This is a good sized lake. It's beautiful, secluded. We need to follow the trail until we find us a good campsite, which may be at this end of the lake, to be honest. It looks a little more level and opened up compared to, you know, this stuff. So let's find camp. Okay, my friends, I am at the very end of Shepard Lake. Right there, we're at the tail end. We came in way over there, followed the trail around, and I found this. I'm not going to be overly picky about where I camp. So we have a fire pit right here. I just have a small backpacking tent, so we can put that right there, I think. And fishing's right there. Fehr Lake, I can see it through the trees, is right through there. But in order to avoid a classic Utah Steve mistake, I'm just tired. I just want to get the pack off, set up camp, and relax. So what I'll do is I'll take the first little campsite I find, and then while I'm hiking around later, I find a way better campsite. So I'm just going to poke my head around for a minute. I can hear some running water too. That's good. I need to, I want to be near a water source, a flowing water source. I can hear it. It's right down in there. So here's the problem. This is pretty thick. That guy told me there were lots of nice campsites, which made me think that he was a day hiker. He may have been out walking all around the lake and spotting these campsites. And that is not something I want to do. And I also don't want to hike all the way down to Fehr Lake and fish and camp, because that means hiking all the way up here, all the way around Shepard Lake. This is not what I said at the beginning of this video. What I said was easy, relaxing, and I've gone about as far as I want to go. So what I need to find is either use this site. The only problem I have with that site is it's right in the sun, and I have to sit there for another 2 hours till the sun goes down. Frustrating. I think we're going to keep looking. I don't want to just settle for that little tiny site. I did that at the Uinta Basin, and then I found a better site later. I don't want to do that. And I don't feel like bushwhacking down to that lake. So, it's not a squirrel, but it's a chipmunk, and it caught my attention, so I'll share it with you. See him there on that rock right in the center of the screen? Hey, buddy. Cute. There he goes. Squirrel. Chipmunk. So let's walk a little further, and if I don't see anything, I'm just gonna have to sit and ponder for a little bit before I make another move. At least now I have a flowing water source between these two lakes. Just to give you an idea, we came in right over there. Up over that, that's what we came down. All of that is Fehr Lake. That's Bald Mountain. So I've walked all the way around here, and all I found is that kind of semi-okay, semi-crappy campsite. So the guy who told me there were awesome sites, he may have hiked that way. Maybe the sites are along that bank. Okay guys, time for a little show and tell. Over here we have our water source. And because of that, I have filtered 3 liters of fresh, clean mountain water right here that's all filtered. I used my Sawyer squeeze, and I've got an extra, gotta block the wind, I've got an extra liter here to filter later if I need it. So I've got my Espit cook pot, should I need it. I've got my Mre knife. I showcased this sharpener my son gave me for Father's Day last time. Since I sharpened this, I've batoned some wood with it, so I need to sharpen again. This is a multi-tool. This is a 1,000 lumen flashlight saw. This is a fishing pole that I found on my last outing with my boys. We need to get out of the wind. This is stupid. I really wish I'd thought of that wind filter. Anyway, this is still set up the way whoever left it there set it up. I tried to find the owner and couldn't find it. So I'm going to set it up my way, which is different than this. This is the Eureka Spitfire. This is in some of my older videos. I've had it a very long time. I just thought I'd change things up a bit. The theme of this camp seems to be green. The fishing pole is green. This is green. There's green on my shirt. Back of my shirt. There's a lot of green stuff. My roll pack over there on the tree. I'm probably going to sleep with the door open, or maybe even the fly off tonight. I'm not sure which. It is kind of windy, so I don't know. But little sit pad. That's our food bag. My little blue cup. That's pretty much it. I didn't bring too much. I brought what I needed. But this is camp, guys. Oh, of course, the hammock. Now that's blue, of course, but I do have a black bug net that goes over that if I need it. That's the best spot I could find for it, back in there. The good news about the bug net is this place is not nearly as buggy as the Cooper Basin was, as Fehr Lake was. It's windier, so I'm trying to get out of the wind so you can hear me. But I haven't seen that many mosquitoes. It may be because of the wind. So I don't know if I'll need a fire unless I catch a fish. I'm hungry. It's going on 7 p.m. I'm gonna make dinner and then I'm gonna fish. If I catch something, I catch something. If not, oh well, we'll just see what happens. So there we are. There's camp. We are set up and ready to go. Dinner awaits. And so does fishing. Oh, of course, I forgot to mention, everybody's favorite mascot, Bob Jr., is here. Does anybody want to guess what dinner is tonight? Is it a mountain house? Some homemade something or other? Is it an MRE? We'll never know, because Utah Steve can't undo his stupid buckle. There we go. Now, I always bring more food than I need. Everyone knows that watches these videos. If you don't know that, that's a fact. Got these little meat sausages. I'm not going to show you everything in here, for heaven's sake. It takes forever. Breakfast biscuit, granola bar. And dinner is, voila! Of course, another MRE. Menu 9, beef stew. No idea what's in this. I've started waiting to open these instead of doing their own video, because it seems to work better for the channel and for me. And I do have some MRE leftovers in here, like this is from a former MRE, Santa Fe rice and beans. So I have plenty to eat. But we're going to cut this open and see what's inside. It's time for show and tell. The segment I like to call, What's in My MRE? Still pretty sharp. Oh, look at that. There's a lot in there. I'll use this for a garbage bag, because I will need it. All right, here we go. We have MRE trans fat, fat-free lemon poppy seed pound cake. That's our dessert. That sounds fantastic. I've had this before. It's really good. This is a beverage bag. Here comes the wind. Might have to wait to talk. Wish I'd bought that filter. Here's some hot sauce. Here's our typical accessory pack. Matches, sugar, wipes, toilet paper. Looks like coffee and creamers in there. So that's what's in there. This is our heating element to heat our meal. Oh, the gods have blessed me, my friends. It is not that nasty cheese. It is not only that, but it is peanut butter and my favorite kind of jelly, grape jelly. That's awesome. That makes me happy. Pretzels. I hope this is focusing okay. Oop, there went Bob Jr. So hopefully you can see this. This is the bread for the PB&J. We have some carbohydrate electrolyte beverage powder, grape. It's basically grape Gatorade. There's a spoon. Here's the heating sleeve. And what's this? This is our main course. This is our beef stew. And that's it. Should be plenty. Don't know if I'll eat it all, but it should be plenty. Better clean this up before it all blows away. It's windy up here. Mosquitoes are starting to come out, so it's time to put the bug wipes on. Cheers, my friends. That's good. I'm so thirsty after all that hiking. I guess tomorrow we'll hike that way around the lake. Since we came from going that way, might as well see what's over there. I think this is a pretty sweet site. I don't think I have any complaints. If I find a better one along here, I won't be too upset because this is pretty awesome. Kind of has a chlorine taste to it. Maybe that's my brand new filter, I don't know. Grape Gatorade in a blue cup. So, I put the long sleeve on because of the mosquitoes and the wind. I intentionally faced the door of my tent this way so I could look out at the lake. Every once in a while I hear a pop or a crack back in there. And what it is a lot of these trees are very old and dead. Hopefully not widowmakers. I tried to pick a good spot. This one right here, this tallest one, makes me a little nervous because the base of the trunk is a little cracked down there and right in the middle of the screen. But anyway, I think all it is with the wind blowing, these old dead trees have really dried and cracked, and they move and they pop and they make noises. So as long as I know what they are. Have you ever seen Castaway, where he's on the island and he keeps hearing loud thumps that freak him out? It turns out to be coconuts falling from the trees. Yeah, it's like that. As long as I know what it is, I won't get too freaked out. A few more minutes and it'll be beef stew time. In the meantime, I should set up my pole. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention that's green, the line that's on here. Not only is the line green, but my bait is too. So anyway, I'm all set up the way I like it. Let's get this in the water and see if it works. Yeah, it's not cooking anymore. It's nice and warm. Let's go ahead and open it and see what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And it's a lot thicker than I thought it would be. Let's see if it's as good as it looks. There we go. How's that look? Looks good. It's good. It's really good. It tastes like Dinty Moore. Not to be confused with Dimmy Moore. I don't know what she tastes like. Probably different than beef stew. There's a family backpacked in over there. They're actually about a football field away across the lake. But when you're up here, you can hear everybody's conversation really well. And if people get excited and yell, you can really hear it. So I'm sitting over here talking to myself in this camp, and those people probably think I'm insane. Because all they can see is me, and I'm over here. Oh well. I like it, I'm a fan. It's good. Didn't realize how hungry I was. It's kind of helping my morale a little bit too. It's good. I forgot to offer. Want some? I have to share a spoon. I do have my spork, but it came with a spoon. So how about some dessert? Do not eat that thing, I mean. There's what it looks like. Looks awesome. Lemon poppy seed. I'm not a fan of lemon, but there are a few things that are just wow when they're lemon. Want some? If I was a bear right now, I would maul me for this. It's got a light glaze on it. Sugary. Oh, so good after all that hiking. It was a mile, but it was a difficult mile. It wasn't horrific, but it was harder than I thought it would be. It was hard on my knee. And it only took about an hour. But this is how I reward myself. I really meant to sit in the hammock and eat dinner, but I think the hammock is more for staring at the stars tonight and also lounging tomorrow morning after breakfast, I think. check the pole when I'm done with the pound. Well, I'll tighten the line a little. It's not tight at all, which means nothing's pulling on it. They've got that drag set really loose. All right. So if that line goes tight, super tight, then I'll know I've got something. I'm really sorry about the wind. I feel bad that I didn't get that microphone filter. I'm gonna have to make it a priority, because boy, every time I try to film or talk, the wind kicks up again. It's not as bad as when the sun was out, but it's still there. It's kind of frustrating. I'm not quite full. I'm not quite full after all that good food, so I'll have a couple of these meat sticks. And some protein will make me feel more full. The bug wipes are doing their job. Mosquitoes are coming out, but still not as bad as the other lakes. So what we'll do, if we catch a fish, we'll make a fire if it's a fish big enough to eat. If we don't, we just won't have a fire tonight. That just feels like more work, and right now I'm not excited about it. Like my last outing at the Uinta Basin, I couldn't wait to make a fire. It was awesome. Sometimes I just don't have one. Gonna make me a little generic hot cocoa. Nice warm beverage, comfort food, I guess. Put the pot on now so that it blocks the wind. Really struggling with this wind. It's not super windy, it's just constant breeze. There we go. Is it still burning? Yeah, see there? It's burning just fine. Just had to get it going. I can see the fishing line from here. It's still pretty loose. Might cast it in a different direction while this heats up. So the fishing line that's on that pole is it's fly line. There was a hook on there with a little fly tied on it. I don't fly fish, but I'm pretty sure that little dinky thing isn't really a fly pole, so someone was being creative. So a lot of the line is floating on top of the water, except where I put the sinker and the bait. Of course, that's going down, but I don't know. I heard some people over there earlier get all excited over catching a fish, so maybe we'll catch something, maybe we won't. I didn't catch anything at Uinta Basin, but I didn't try very hard, and I'm kind of in the same frame of mind right now. I went fishing last weekend, like I said, with my boys, and we caught like 18 fish, and it just after a while it was almost boring just pulling them in. It was so easy. And I'm not saying that because I'm an awesome fisherman. I'm saying because it was a lake right off the highway where they stock it plentifully. These lakes out here in the middle, they have to dump fish in by helicopter. So, you know, you get what you get when they can plant it. But some of these fish get bigger up here because they're not so overfished. So if you do catch one, it might be a pretty good size. We'll just see what happens. A little bit of a boil. Didn't really mean to boil it, but at least it's hot. Learned my lesson about stirring with it sitting on the stove. It'll tip over really easy. I've done it before. Don't know why I was trying to do it then. One good thing about having this entire beach to myself is when one spot doesn't work, I can fish at another one. So I cast in over here. Those two spots, I got nothing. I may yet get nothing. My line is still loose. As you can see, nice and loose. Nothing pulling on it. I was hoping I'd at least catch something and let it go. I really don't feel like cooking a fish, but I do feel like catching one. Isn't that beautiful? Look, the sun's still up way over there on that high mountain. We're just in the shadows, in the Shire. Beautiful, isn't it? Why wouldn't you want to come here? Well, other than the hiking and the dirt and the sweat and the poor eating conditions. But hey, to me, it's what you call a good time.